From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Monday, August 17th, 2015. Silver is trading at $15.31 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,119 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $259. Antiwar.com reports while Iraqi officials continue to downplay the difficulty of turning the tables on the Islamic State, which has captured much of the country's western border with Syria, the government's primary efforts seem to be passing around blame for the major defeats of the war so far. Iraqi Prime Minister Ramadi has been loudly critical of the military for the loss of the Anbar capital of Ramadi, saying the troops fled despite orders to stay and defeat the Islamic State. On Sunday, he ordered the commanders court-martialed for abandoning their defensive positions and losing the city. They're not alone in facing blame, however, as the Iraqi parliament has issued a report blaming a number of former government officials, including former Prime Minister Nouri al-Maliki, for the loss of Mosul, the largest city to fall to the Islamic State. In both cases, the underlying assumption is that the battles could have been won if the troops had simply followed the orders to win those battles, and Maliki is facing blame for installing commanders who weren't willing to win the Battle of Mosul. Though it was a surprise how quickly the military lines broke in Mosul, the loss of Ramadi shouldn't have been nearly so surprising, as the poor morale among Iraqi forces was already well documented, and it was clear they simply weren't going to stand up to a sustained the Islamic State offensive. For over 35 years, Roberts & Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. UPI reports at least one person has died so far and many homes have been burned to the ground as 4 wildfires spread in the western United States. The blazes, burning in drought-ravaged California, Oregon, Washington, and Idaho, have wrought havoc on miles of acreage in recent days. The largest, the so-called Soda Fire, has so far burned nearly 300,000 acres, and the state's Lawyer Complex Fire has so far destroyed more than 50 homes, according to officials. A woman died Friday as she was preparing to flee the wildfire, according to officials, and authorities believe she fell and injured her head. Idaho's governor declared a state of emergency in part of that state. In California, the Cabin Fire, which was sparked Saturday, is approaching 2,000 acres and is 20% contained. In Oregon, 35,000 acres of land have been torched by the lightning-caused Canyon Creek Complex Fire, and more than 100 structures have been destroyed in Washington state. Weather conditions affected by the fires vary across each of the states, and officials said air quality is at its worst levels in some places. Are you an advocate for free market money? Do you promote Bitcoin as an alternative in a fiat-centric world? Then you need Spend-A-Bit in your arsenal, the search engine for things you can buy with Bitcoin. Spend-A-Bit aggregates millions of products from thousands of Bitcoin-enabled merchants. Keep your money in the free economy. Visit spendabit.co today. Bitcoin merchants, ask about our merchant suite to reach even more customers. Spendabit.co. Reuters reports Greece's Socialist PASOK party joined the main opposition on Sunday in saying it would not back Prime Minister Alexis Tsipras if he calls a confidence vote following a rebellion in the governing party over a new bailout deal. Tsipras had to rely on opposition groups, including PASOK, to win a parliamentary majority on Friday in favor of the €86 billion bailout program, Greece's third with international creditors since 2010. By contrast, Tsipras suffered the biggest rebellion yet among anti-bailout lawmakers from his leftist Syriza party, forcing him to consider a confidence vote that would pave the way for early elections if he loses. Opinion polls show Tsipras remains popular even though he presided over the closure of banks for 3 weeks, the imposition of capital controls, and a near brush with financial collapse. This has raised doubts about how much the opposition parties may want to force new elections. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.